Great to have you with us. This is week in one, and now some better news. This week we heard that our unemployment rate had dropped to its lowest level since the end of 2013. Stats SA released its quarterly labour force survey for the fourth quarter of 2014. It is a drop of just over 1 percentage point year on year, but that number means very little for those desperate for a job.
Putting together a CV, going for an interview and landing a job, a rewarding experience for many. But for millions of South Africans, this remains a dream. Out of a working population of 35.5 million people, less than half are employed.
The employment to population ratio, which is the absorption rate, it increased in the fourth quarter when we compare with the quarter 3 of 2014. It increased by 0.4 percentage points from 42.6% to 43%.
In total, more than 240,000 people found work in the fourth quarter, mainly in agriculture, construction and trade. Despite the slight decrease in unemployment, about 4.9 million South Africans are still without formal work. The country's unemployment rate now stands at 24.3%. 26.6% of women are unemployed, while 22.4% of males in the country are without a job. And with the growing frustration of looking for a job in a difficult economic climate, almost 2.5 million people have given up finding employment. Those lucky enough to have work will be happy to know that the average time people stay employed has increased from 36 months to 47 months.
Well, this week also saw concern about teachers leaving the profession in high numbers. At least 14,000 teachers have taken early retirement over the past year. This is despite the fact that government suspended its controversial pension reforms. Pension administrators are laying the blame on rumours.
Government's pensions agency is worried about mass resignations in the public sector in recent months, especially by teachers. It's attributed this to misinformation about pension fund reforms.
We have seen many people resign because they allege that they did not want to lose their lump sum. There is a rumor circulating, come the 1st of March 2015, GEPF members will no longer be entitled to a lump sum benefit.
Mora says the panic has spread.
We saw steady growth from about May last year all the way through to about November last year, when the highest number of resignations were around 4,600 resignations in that particular month.
The South African Democratic Teachers Union admits it's a major problem. It says barely a month into the 2014 academic year, the Northwest has already lost 600 teachers.
Last year, 2014, we have lost about 14,000 teachers. At the beginning of 2015, we are seeing again many of our teachers resigning.
But the Education Department says it's working to avert a crisis.
Since we worked together with the relevant agencies in government and other departments, we have since been able to reduce the number of inquiries and also reduce the number of teachers that have been resigning.
It's now a race against time for officials to convince teachers to stay put, as their pensions aren't in jeopardy. Linya Rosello, Johannesburg.
Well, some exciting plans for our judicial system, which will hopefully speed up prosecutions. South Africa's most powerful judge wants to take the country's courts into the 21st century. Chief Justice Mogoeng has an ambitious 600 million rand plan to have all court documents stored online. He also wants to monitor judges' and magistrates' performance electronically. It's part of a bid to ensure that court cases are finalised as soon as possible.
I, Jacob Gedlehlekisa Zuma, swear.
When President Jacob Zuma first appointed Mogoeng as Chief Justice, many commentators cried foul, predicting he'd be little more than a government puppet.
So help me God.
But Mogoeng seems to have defied that expectation. Last year, he wrote a judgment that arguably ensured the independence of the elite Hawks unit. And he's become an outspoken campaigner for South Africa's courts to be truly independent.
Why has it been so important for the judiciary and the office of the Chief Justice to be independent from government?
If we ever get to the point where the judiciary is either controlled by the executive or parliament or the opposition parties or big business or some secret organizations, then we are doomed.
In October last year, Justice and Correctional Services Minister Michael Masuta announced that the Office of the Chief Justice would be responsible for running South Africa's superior courts. For the first time, the judiciary, through Mogoeng's office, will manage its own budget. And Mogoeng hopes to use that budget to radically transform the justice system, with plans for a massive online database for all court documentation.
Over the years, there has been complaints about dockets disappearing, with the result that it takes a long time before, a new set of documents are procured to facilitate the commencement or the resumption of the trial. Part of the modernization project that we envision would ensure that there is not only electronic filing of the documentation that come through, very much in the same way as it happens with SARS, but also that we have on-site and off-site electronic record keeping.
The Chief Justice says he's acutely aware of how delays in criminal trials have real and devastating consequences for the human beings involved in them. Karen Morn, Johannesburg.
This week, the Mayor of Cape Town made a bold move, announcing her plans to join the race for DA leadership in the Western Cape. Patricia de Lille will stand against Leonard Max, a member of the provincial legislature. Ivan Meyer holds the position at the moment. He's not running this time round, but he's endorsed de Lille's bid.
One of the most influential female political figures in the Western Cape, Cape Town Mayor Patricia de Lille now wants to become the next Democratic Alliance provincial leader. De Lille says she will retain her position as Cape Town Mayor.
This is not a government position, this is a political position that I'm standing for, and so it will have no impact on my being the Mayor of the City of Cape Town.
Her prospective team will consist of Human Settlements MEC Bonginkosi Madikizela as provincial deputy leader. Environmental Affairs and Development Planning MEC Anton Bredell will stand as provincial chairperson. De Lille has denied any infighting within the party. She says she wants the DA to take full ownership of all the municipalities in the province.
I would like to make sure that if I'm elected, that we ensure that all 30 municipalities are governed and controlled by the Democratic Alliance.
De Lille will be campaigning across the province in the next few weeks. Atim Tongana, Cape Town.
Still ahead on Week in One, a trip down memory lane as we remember 25 years since Nelson Mandela was released from prison. See you in a moment.